Hi, and welcome to a video. I think this is going to be a video about tips and tricks to using VSTs. I'm going to talk about Tasman. And a bit about effects. Here's two recent tricks that I found while just, playing around. I have Cubase 5, ancient Cubase 5, and in Cubase 5 there is an expander. It's in a section. It's called in the dynamics section of the plugins that come with Cubase 5, now called Cubase Professional. And I think they're at Cubase 8.5 right now. So here's my little tip or trick, and that is a lot of people are in love with the sound of analog synths, and I would have to raise my hand with that. But I mean, who can afford an analog synth now? They're so expensive, so nobody, well, I guess some people can afford them, but I can't. But anyways, if you want to make your VST sound more analog, you can use an expander, and it makes it sound a little bit more, I would say, organic anyways, but I don't know, that's up to you. So let's load up an instrument. Let's load up Tassman, or my old version of Z3TA. Okay. Okay, so that's without an expander on. Anyways, I don't know if you can hear that, but to me, the presence, and there's just a little bit of an air quality. Okay, here's Dimension Pro. Okay, yeah, you can see it. To me, I mean, you can hear it more in Dimension Pro, but to me it adds a bit of warmth. The expander adds a bit of warmth to maybe, not every VST, but it adds a little bit of an analog warmth, or analog warmth. Yeah, so that's my latest thing. Because a lot of people, they hear the digital sound, and it can be a nice sound sometimes, but sometimes you just want a little bit of added warmth. Okay, so here's Tasman, and I've been trying to use the builder. Here's the builder section of Tasman, and well, there's a lot of built-in sounds to Tasman, and there's some presets with the sequencer, and the presets with the sequencers are basically all drum sounds. So there's no real taking advantage of the sequencer. You can change the notes in the sequencer, but none of the presets really take advantage of that. To make something melodic. So what I've been doing is I've been trying to hack together patches with the sequencer, multi-sequencer module. Okay, here's all the modules right here. So you got the multi-sequencer. What the multi-sequencer does is it has a pattern and a song setting. So you have all your patterns. When you have it in pattern mode, you just hit a preset. So here's all the patterns: A1 to 8, B1 to 8, C1 to 8, D1 to 8. So when you click on it, these lights here show you what notes are lit up, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 notes are lit up, so those are all going to play. The loop that's where it loops, so it can loop at note 8 or note 16. Just change that, hit that, or hit that. Here's the note that's going to be played. The velocity is pretty straightforward. The shift shifts the note forward or back, and slide. I don't think slide works all the time. So anyways, I kind of hacked together the sequencer. Well, basically, it has a sampler. Okay, when you get Tasman 4, they have a sampler, sample and hold, I think it is. It's no, not that one. Player. So they have this thing called player, which is basically a sampler. Plays a sampler. It's called a player, but it plays a sampler. And it's called in the generator section of the modules. So when you get your Tasman 4, you're like, oh, I wonder if it can sample or use samples. I mean, that's, everybody loves sampling, right? I mean, just because it adds a lot of possibility. You can use all your other waves or samples inside a Tasman. So immediately, I think, I'm almost 100% sure that when you immediately get Tasman 4, there's the player module, but there is actually no preset that uses it. So you don't even have a sampler in here. You have the sample module, which is the player, but you don't have the any presets that actually use it, at least that I could see. So you have to go and I think I remember I went online and I kind of did a Google search for sampler Tasman 4, and somebody had put together a sampler patch. This one. Look at how complicated that is. So somebody put this huge patch together to play the sampler. Boom. So I was really kind of stoked that I found that. So there it is. There's the whole sampler patch. And you hit this eject button on the player, and that loads, you can find your samples. Multi-samples. And you can find a sample. The sad thing about it, and there may be a way to do this, but it doesn't default. When you hit it again, it doesn't default to you can't get it to default to your sample folder. There might be a way to do it. Probably. I'll have to look into it more, but it doesn't do it right away, or there's not a quick way to do it that I can see. So anyhow, every time you have to load a sample, you have to go and search your file system to find your sample folder. Hint, hint, for Tasman 5. Okay, and so anyways, yeah, here's this patch that I made that I found online for playing. So now you have inside your Tasman 4, you can have a sample player. Okay, so then I wanted to go further, and I wanted to add the sequencer to it. And so anyways, here's the sample sequencer that I built. Oops. Okay, so here's a sampler sequencer. And so if you have a look at it, I actually I chopped up that whole sample player file, and it's very, very simple. You just got this out a shifter, because you want the sequencer to shift the sample up or down. There's the sample player. And things like that. Okay, here's another quick tip and trick that I wanted to show people about Tasman 4. Okay, so in Tasman 4, let's go to something else. Let's go quickly, change gears, and go to another preset. Okay, and this is another little trick that I found. Okay, so let's try an analog, something analog, or something. Acoustic instruments. Okay, so we'll go into one of these acoustic instruments. Now, okay, here's the beam. Okay, so here's a little tip and trick again for Tasman 4 that I just found out later after I got it. And that is, with a lot of these noise generators and effects modules, you can further, when you click on the module, they've got these other fields, stiffness, strength. So those can be changed as well, and some of them have upper limits. Like if I go and hit 2000 stiffness, it might give me a message, no. So 10,000. Okay, so strength. Okay, see? The strength must be between 0 and 2. So you can only use 1 or 2, between 0 and 2 in decimals for the mallet. So yeah, with a lot of these, let's click on some other ones. Beam. See, look at beam. Beam has all of these settings: length, frequency, decay, number of modes, excitation point X in meters, listening point X in meters. So look at these, here we go. Boom, 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 boom. So you've got all of these other things you can change too. So anyways, that adds a further element or aspect of Tasman 4 that I haven't seen people talk about, that allows further going deeper into it. Okay, so now that I veered off track, let's go back to my sample. My sampler. Okay, sampler 1 sequence. Okay, so here's my and just for you people who are new to Tasman 4, when you click on the multi-sequencer or any module, up here you'll get a list of, among other things, it'll tell you what each input does and output does. So sometimes you have to, when you're connecting these modules up, you have to read this, so you know if you're setting everything up correctly. Okay, so I'm actually going to work on this patch a lot more. I want to add a few things to it. So anyways, that's an ugly flute sound. So anyways, here what I did is, here's the patch with the sequencer and the sampler. And it's the multi-sequencer. And it's got a shifter in it here. This is the shifter module, which I'm using to use as a tuner, so that it plays these notes. But when you just install the shifter, it's not going to play a scale. Like when you play C3, it's not going to play a C3. So this sounds confusing, but let's go to Guru. Okay, so there's I have a patch in Guru, or it's not Guru, it's just called Guru. It's actually Dimension Pro. But in Dimension Pro, I have a patch loaded, and there's a C. So I'll just loop that. So without annoying you too much, I used the shifter, and I used all these little functions here, mod 1, mod 2, range, fine, and coarse, to tune the first note, which I set to C3. You can set it to whatever you want. I set that to tune that to C, so you can see when I hit play. I tuned it to C. So I used the coarse 296 Hertz, and then I just used these and that and that and that and that, and I found that to be the closest C to whatever I was using at the time. And then I just changed this one to D, D3, C3 to D3. And then I played a D. And I think I had to do some further tuning to get fine tuning, or I can't even remember now, but anyways, you can do it with the shifter module. You can play with these buttons, and eventually you can get everything to be tuned. So I think you probably don't have to tune every one, but then eventually you get a little scale happening. So anyways, that's how you tune your sequencer. Maybe that'll work in another. And then when you're all done, you go Menu, File, Save Instrument As, and there's another little bug with Tasman 4. And say if you want to say you go save, and then it gives you copy. So you can just hit OK, and then you'll get sampler 1, sequencer 2, copy. But if you rename it as the same patch, which a lot of people want to do, they modify their patch and then they want to save it to the exact same patch, right? And then you hit OK. What it'll do is it'll make 2 patches with the exact same name. Like you'll actually see down here, sampler 1 seek, sampler 1 seek. So now you have 2 patches with the exact same name, instead of usually most software it'll ask you, do you want to overwrite the old file, stuff like that, and then it'll just overwrite it and erase the old one. So anyways, that's kind of a thing that's kind of unique to Tasman 4. So anyways, as with anything, if you've spent all this time trying to get something to work, make sure you save it, But it's really cool because one of the really cool things about Tasman is that you can actually, say if I'm working on this patch, and then I just go over, like let's just delete this for fun, so there's no constant there. And then there's an edit, undo, delete. So there, you can undo it. So let's not delete constant, let's just delete the patch cable. Okay, so then we go and open harp sequencer mod. Okay, there we go. And then now let's go back to samp seek 2. See? It kept that. See where I destroyed that cable? It kept it the way I had done it. So as long as you keep everything open, as long as you keep the window open, whatever changes that you made to one patch, even if you open up another patch and then you go back, it'll still be, you can still see what you're doing. That's kind of interesting. That's a plus feature, I believe, I would say. Okay, so anyways, yeah, let's just open, just for fun's sake, let's open up another sample. Here's one thing that I haven't gotten it to do, and that's one I want to add in ADSR for my samples, things like that. There's a bunch of stuff that I want to do. So what we'll do is we'll do another, try some other samples just to see what it sounds like. Acoustic bass, acoustic guitar. Anyways, it can be annoying too, Like I said, or I didn't say, but On your musical journey, you're gonna play a lot of unmusical stuff. So this is just my musical journey to get something musical using this shifter. So anyways, hope that wasn't too long-winded, and have fun building your VSTs. Cheers.